Bernie Gallerani here with Bernie Gallerani Real Estate, and we are with the amazing Trista McIntosh.
Hello.
And I wanted to bring Trista in because she's been with our company three years.
3 years. Yeah.
Total, right?
Yeah, 3 years total.
So interesting with you because Trista started off as a sales manager, and then I don't know, I'm going to let you share. You made a transition.
Yeah.
Well, what's really interesting, let me back up because
Yeah.
I think you started off in a very low-paying position.
Very.
And you even, I think, questioned, and your husband questioned,
Yeah.
like, what the heck are you doing?
Yeah.
Right? So you came in as an ISA, an inside sales assistant.
Essentially for the recruiting department.
For the recruiting
Yeah.
department. So you talked to realtors.
Yes, I did.
Yes, you did. That was
Yes,
fun.
I did.
And so it was an entry-level thing. And then it wasn't long before you actually became the sales manager.
I think it was like 30 days.
30 days.
Yeah. Well, first it went to director of recruiting because the person left,
Okay.
brought me in.
Okay.
And then 9 months later, that's when you talked to me about the sales manager position.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you were sitting in, you were sitting in the director of recruiting
Yeah.
seat in
Yeah.
30 days.
Yes.
So gosh, you actually took over his job
In
after 30 days. That's
Yeah.
how special we knew you were.
Yeah. We were like, okay, all right.
And so then you were in that role for how long? In the sales manager's position?
So director of recruiting was there for 9 months and then moved into sales manager.
And then you were sales manager for how long?
I want to say 6 months, something like that.
Okay.
Or maybe a little less.
Okay.
Yeah.
So 9 months and then 6 months in that other role, which really kind of encompassed both roles,
Yep.
sort of. We just
Because I was still recruiting.
Yeah, because you were still recruiting. So you were recruiting and talking to a lot of realtors around town.
Yeah.
What was your, your kind of idea when you started talking to realtors and you're reaching out and you're trying to help them? What was the constant theme and conversation that you were hearing back from some of the realtors you were talking to?
Oh gosh, I mean, it was tough in that role because we're such a high performing team. We have growth mindset here. We're, trying to always take things to the next level. And there's a reason why so many realtors don't make it, unfortunately, in this industry. And I found out why when I was calling.
Yeah.
I mean, the mindset is, you would ask questions like, what is it that you want? What are your goals? What are your income goals? And it just fell flat. There were so many agents that didn't even have answers to those questions. And
Yeah, and for us, that's all we talk about
That's
is
all we talk about.
goals and accountability and,
Yeah.
and having a better life. And
Yeah.
like you would ask those questions
Yeah.
and it would be just flat.
it was just either no response or you felt like you were kind of having to pull teeth just to get an answer or to help somebody guide them into like, well, what does that look like for you? And so a lot of agents, they don't even have a business plan. They don't even know what it is, how to do one. When you talk to them about an income goal for the year, the usual answer is six figures.
Six
like
figures,
the
yeah. It's an easy
standard,
answer.
it's an
Yeah.
easy answer.
Yeah.
But when you dive deeper, just nobody really had any real drive. It didn't seem like.
You know what's funny about the six figures, and I don't know if I've shared this with you. So previous to being in the real estate business, I was in franchise sales. And so I was repping a couple different companies, and they would go on online leads, and then I
Okay.
would call them as a salesperson.
Yeah.
And so based on the rules and regulations that we were governed by, through the Small Business Administration, we are not allowed to talk about income.
Oh.
That's a rule that you cannot discuss with a potential franchisee the amount of money they can earn.
Okay.
But I would ask the question, if you were investing in this business, and the business was about $150,000 investment, franchise fee and build out, what would you expect to make annually if you invested this kind of money?
Yeah.
Six figures was the number.
Wow.
And this was 25, 30 years ago. It was still six
Six
figures, and it's six figures
Today.
even today, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
by the way, it should be higher, right?
Yeah,
should be
and I mean,
higher.
6 figures
Yeah.
is fine if you know the number. Like,
Yeah.
what's the number? Is it 100,000? Is it 500,000? I mean, that's a
Right.
big difference.
Yeah, it's just a general blanket
It's just
answer,
general, yeah.
but they don't really have any reality to what that really means for them, so they just kind of throw that out. So you were in the sales manager position.
Yeah.
What happened?
I just started to see I had this background and I had this experience and I had a talent that I think could have been developed. And I knew where I was, like the soil that I was in. And so to me, it was like, why not why not go for it myself? You know, as I was coaching other agents and I'm helping them develop their business plans and I'm helping them develop the ways that they can go out and get business and how can they grow. And I'm like, wait a minute, I have that,
Yeah.
you know.
And you're watching them make more money than you were probably making.
A lot more
Yeah.
money than I was making. And I had, you know, some pretty big financial goals of my own, me and Chris. And so I just figured, you know what, I'm responsible for my financial future. And I knew that I would be good at it. And I knew I had you as my mentor. And so I was like, I have to at least go for it. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was interesting for me going through that because I loved you so much in that role.
Yeah.
I thought you were so great at it.
Yeah.
I still think you'd be great at it.
Yeah.
But no matter how great I felt you would be in it, you had a desire to make more money and felt your passion the other side.
Yeah.
And I'm always a believer of just saying,
100%.
I'm here to develop people to be the best that they possibly could be. So, so now we get into the first year.
Yeah.
You had this dream, this idea.
Yeah.
Now you were coaching it to other agents.
Yeah.
You were watching them flourish, and then you decided to get a license.
Yeah.
Then what happened?
Well, it's very different to coach something than it is to live it every day. And there were some reality checks that came into place. But yet I think that I was still prepared for it because I had already been here for up to that point over a year and a half. And so I had already been here, so I already knew the culture. I already understood some of the challenges and things like that. And then I just knew that I had to trust the process. I just had to plug into the program, you know, and I just went kind of balls to the wall with that. Yeah, I mean, I just...
What were those, you said challenges, and I guess I'm probably more specifically challenged, because I always believe that challenges aren't in the work itself always as it is more internally within our thinking process.
100%.
So we can go on either way of those directions, but where do you think your challenge was in your mindset when you started, let's just say in January of 23, I think, as a realtor? Because you just finished your second year as a realtor.
Right. Because I've been here 3 years. The first year I was in sales,
So your first, let's just call it your first 6 months.
Yep.
Because you pinned some deals, you lost a lot of deals.
Yes.
You're going through the emotions and the stuff of disciplining yourself.
Yeah.
What was the hardest thing during that first 6 months for you?
I think it was just the mindset of like not knowing everything that you need to, you know, you're 6 months in, but you want to know the knowledge of being like 5 years in.
Yeah.
And so, but you have to go through a learning curve, and sometimes that is challenging. I lost deals in my first 6 months that went under contract and then fell out. And going through that the first time was hard, you know, because I didn't have the experience yet. And so that was challenging, just getting through some of the harder side of real estate. There's fun side, you know, but then there's the hard side, and having to go through that and mentally stay in your game. Stay on your A game.
Do you think that, do you believe this, now the second year, you had a really great year, made a bunch of money, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Do you find that it got easier, or do you think that you just became more open to the challenges that were there that didn't bother you as much?
100%. The experience then developed the confidence that then allowed things to roll off my back a lot easier. The next time that I had an inspection issue that I had in my first 6 months, one, I knew exactly how to deal with it. And then two, I knew exactly what to do even if it did fall out, you know, because I had the experience now. So I knew what to say. I knew what to do. I knew what the next steps were. Like I was prepared.
Yeah, you know, I used to tell Trista, Trista was one that would be in my office at least once a day. And I kept saying to you at the same time, it's like, you know, I actually want you to go out and have these struggles because you'll better yourself. The struggles are never going to go away. Yeah. People are people, right? My mentors always told me, we're in the people business. We're not in the real estate business. Real estate is what we talk about, but being in the people business. And when you're in the people business, you're in the emotion business. You're in the money business. You're in the learning the skills of objection business. that never changes.
Yeah.
You actually change
Yes.
and how you process it, and you kind of get a protective thing over your skin that just says, oh, this is not a big deal. I've done this 10 other times.
100%.
Right?
100%. Like I was just talking to Chris, my husband, and he just won a big award again, by the way.
Oh, good. Congratulations to him. I know he really was.
Super excited
That's
about
awesome.
that. But it was so cool. We just sat down with a bottle of champagne, celebrating his big win. Yeah. And I asked him, because he wins so much. He wins a lot. And I said, okay, feed into me here. Like, come on, I have a winner as a husband. Like, I'm going to pick your brain. Yeah. And I said, what is it that you contribute your success to? And he said, 1, his drive for results. And then 2, he said, experience. He said, I just have done this for 35 years. Yeah. He's like, I know what to say, when to say it. I know who to go to get things done. Yeah. He's like, I just know I've done all of these jobs. I know the ins and outs. I know the problems before they become problems. And I was like, oh, that's good.
You should ask
that's
him.
Good.
What was it like in the first couple of years?
Yeah.
Like, how were you feeling? Mm-hmm. You didn't have all the answers, probably didn't have any answers.
Yeah.
Right? And so it'd be fun to find out from him what he felt. Was there ever a time he was so discouraged he wanted to quit?
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Because now he's the top of his game, getting awards for being the best in his field.
Yeah.
Just like you will in a few years for the work that you do. Mm-hmm. But it was, I remember asking you questions like, wow, this is much harder than I thought it was going to be. Yeah. So here's what I want to say to anybody. I think what Trista's saying, it's not that it's harder than you thought. Mm-hmm. You're more challenged as a person that you hadn't had to deal with that. Mm-hmm. So it's the work's not harder. Your ability to process what's going on is harder. Year 2 was easier probably than year 1.
Yeah. Now it's easier than it was in my first 6 months.
Yes, and so, but you're making more money now. Yeah. I always love telling people this, and we have the Bernie Boot Camp, which is 7 steps to 7 figures, right? Which is basically, for those that are watching, how to make $1 million a year in real estate. And so part of this process of learning is getting the mindset right, getting you to understand that you do have the ability, you just have to change the behavioral pattern, right? And we usually, for realtors, don't want to spend enough time in the business under such emotional pain.
Yes, that's exactly what
right?
it is.
So we just quit.
It's exactly what it is. 100%.
And yet, if you're not far away from totally surpassing your husband's income of 35 years in the business, and you'll probably do it by year 3 or 4.
And he's so excited about it.
I love that.
When he saw my goal for this year, he's like, oh yeah, let's go. He's all for it.
That's exciting. So what's been the best part of the 3 years, or let's say 2 years of selling? What's been the best aha moment for you?
Oh gosh, the best aha moment. Is that I can get through anything if I put my mind to it. Yeah. I can really get through anything. That's so good. Yeah.
Why do you think so many people play it small? Because this is the most money you've ever made in your life, right?
It is.
Yeah. So and you had to probably, being in our culture. Yeah. I have me as a mentor where I always think as big as you possibly can, as big as I possibly can. I'm a small thinker, I think, but I think bigger than probably most. So where do you find, like, being a bigger thinker, where your ultimate life could land if you just got out of your way?
And I think part of thinking big is that you're getting out of your way all the time. Like, because every time you think bigger, you still have to get out of your way again. And then you think big again, you have to get out of your way again. You're always having to get out of your way. Always. Yeah. And I feel like if people just gave themselves a chance, and just like shifted from a fear mindset or a lack mindset or, don't believe in themselves and just try it. Just go for it. Give yourself a year just to say, you know what, if I got out of my way for a year, what would that look like? Like, what would the end of my year look like? And then get there and then assess. And undoubtedly, you will have achieved more than you ever did in your life. And then do it again. And just say, you know what would happen if I got out of my way again for another year?
I love that.
Yeah.
That's such great advice.
And then just keep going.
Like you almost want to shake somebody and go, come on now, like wake up, like this is such a great opportunity. I mean, we only have one life, and making it so great is such a great possibility. And people are so stuck sometimes in their situation, they can't even see out of that. So last thing I want to ask you, and I'm super proud of the direction you've taken your real estate business in regards to being a luxury real estate agent. I love that. And so I'm a big fan of you, but I'm even a bigger fan of that direction that you're going. So you've made a leap from selling, let's just call it general real estate and just opportunities versus really specializing in the high-end market. Tell me what your challenge has been working with some of these particular sellers or buyers, because a lot of agents are super intimidated about the high-end market. What have you learned most about that?
I love it because it's my language. So, you know, when I sit down with a seller or a buyer in higher price points, they're typically entrepreneurial, they're typically professional. And so I work well with clientele like that. And so that's why I ended up kind of saying, okay, I'm going to go more in this direction. And then as far as the challenges, I mean, I haven't so much come across anything super challenging yet. I hope I don't, but I haven't come across anything super challenging yet. I think there's just a different expectation, how you show up, how you present, the expectations you deliver with service after you get the deal, and those type of things. But I haven't had any specific challenges yet.
What's interesting is what Trista's saying here, and I've been talking with Trista about this for a long time, and that is it's actually easier to sell the upper end because they're more business minded, and the small details don't usually bother the higher end sellers, where you might have that in some of the other price points. And really they're fast decision makers. They don't sweat the small stuff. And a lot of times the sale is easier, the paychecks are bigger. And I can't even tell you when I used to work the higher end market towards the last part of my real estate career, and had I not retired from that selling process, I would have said, man, the high end market is where you want to spend all your time. Those checks are 3 times bigger and the work is half.
And I love the houses. I love the design, like I just enjoy it. You know, it's just really fun for me. So.
Well, you are such an inspiration and a joy for us in the company, me personally, because I'm friends with you and Chris, and so just the connection we have as friends. And so I just thank you for being you, because you're a special human, and I hope we get a chance to work a long time together.
Oh, we are. You're stuck with me.
Everybody, thank you so much. Trista McIntosh, if you need any real estate.
Luxury real estate.
Any real estate, but luxury real estate.
Thank
you guys.